Namaskaram, Namaskaram, Namaste, Shalom, Shalom, good morning, howdy. Just sit straight. We have been talking about it on and off, mostly on. Just sit straight with your legs crossed, your hands, your palms. Your palms are resting on your knees like this is. Gently bring your focus to your breathing. Have you been doing all this to get the exceptional results in your life? Have you been doing all this to lessen and get rid of duality in your life? Once you get rid of duality, all there remains is happiness. It's the duality which mind creates, keeps you restless. You know that? It's always I versus you. It's always we versus them. It's always you versus me. Stuffs like that. It's always all the it's always all the plurality. It's always all the duality. I versus you. You see, I versus you. We versus them. The abstract duality, the abstract friction in your mind, which does not exist in nature but only in human mind. Human mind is the center. Human mind is the center of all conflicts. Human mind is the center of judgments. Human mind is the center of insecurities. You see, it is doing what it is supposed to do, but then you bring your focus voluntarily to it, and then it does a phenomenal job because it gets thrilled and it looks at you as a slave, which you have become really and literally in all bigger scheme of things, in all reality. Sadly and unfortunately, you have become a slave of it because you bring your volunteer, you volunteer your focus. So if you want to make it a stop, if you want to make it full stop, do meditation, do this simple practice. The same mind tells you happiness cannot be achieved this way. This is so simple. You see, human minds want something really complicated, but I can assure you the things that can lead you to happiness. Shh, silent the mind. Silent the mind, work on it. I'll be back. Giving you some time to silence the mind. We want to keep it as secure, as silent as humanly possible. Not only silence within, but silence outside. We want to keep this, you see, this meditation, this retreat, this communion with the divine. Choose a time between 3 and 6. You know why? Because the veil. Choose a time, but ideally between 3 and 6, you see. But you would say, oh, that's too early. I cannot do that. Well, you can do number of things. You can sit in front of the television. You can scroll memes. You can contemplate, unfortunately and sadly, revenge to get even with your fellow human beings. Somebody says something nasty to you. You don't wait a second. Somebody says something nasty to you, you don't wait a second. Somebody provokes you, offends you, you don't wait a second to get even. You see, but here you want to wait. No, I would do it tomorrow. I would do it the day after tomorrow. Your suffering goes on. You see, you always looking outside of you, in the objects, in the relationships, in the objects, in the relationship, in other humans. Your suffering would never end. Timely suffering, you end it for some time, but then it comes back, and it comes back with more intensity. You see what I mean? Mind says, you betrayed me for some time. Now I'm going to show you my power. You see, this is what happens, unfortunately. And then mind actually brings it back to zero, and mind makes more attempts with more intensity. Now, this time, mind is mad and mind is really angry, and it is coming back with more intensity on you. You see, timely happiness you achieve, constipated happiness you achieve through substances, unfortunately, through addictions, through looking outwards into numerous relationships in people. You see, you think that that would solve everything and anything. But the concrete sense of fulfillment, the concrete happiness can only be achieved through a simple spiritual practice. And I have told you so numerous times in the past, which is what we understand as meditation. Or you would just keep getting the constipated happiness, and you would not become close, no many no many how many lifetimes you live, no matter, no matter how many lifetimes you live, you would not get close to ultimate liberation. You would not get close to moksha. You would not get close to ultimate liberty, ultimate freedom from the suffering. You see, you would not. And I have mentioned to you numerous times before in the past, the sole purpose of life is to find happiness without anybody's help from outside. You see, it's within you. When it's it's within you. When the source of creation is within you, then the experience of very life that you are living can only be changed from within, not from outside, not from outer help. You see here, I see people crying, they are single, as if they found a partner, they got engaged, they formed a relationship, it would solve every problem. As a matter of fact, on the contrary, if you want a healthy relationship with somebody, you must fully understand what you are and how you function. Once you go in the accord with the life, I can guarantee you your relationship would be very healthy. You see, you would have more patience with your spouse. You would see clearly. You would see the transparency of things. It's a given. It's like a perk. When you bring clarity in your perception, when you have transparency of things, it's a perk which comes with it. You see. Um, I hope I'm making some sense to you. I hope I'm making some sense to you. I hope I'm bringing some clarity with you. Now, today, this retreat, now, today, this message does not have a specific question to answer. Now, today, this wisdom is not directed towards a particular direction. If you look at my YouTube channel, you realize that I have answered hundreds and hundreds of questions over there. I have brought clarity and wisdom that is there for you, and that would guide you when you feel overwhelmed. When you feel overwhelmed with life, when you feel overwhelmed with the same relationships, basically, that you are looking happiness in. It's ironic, isn't it? When you feel overwhelmed with the same relationships that you are looking happiness in, or when you feel overwhelmed with other human beings around you, the situations, Those my words over there would guide you. Those my words over there would hold your hand and to lead you in the right direction. But remember something, as I have mentioned to you before, and I am mentioning, but remember, always remember the word remember. But remember something, until unless you get rid of the duality within you, until unless that friction remains within, that tension remains within, you see, then you cannot find fulfillment or happiness. Meditation is forming yourself in a certain way that the cosmic geometry is built, you see, and trying to align your body with the cosmic geometry. One day, people people spend numerous days, numerous years to achieve. But one day, if it is totally aligned with the cosmic geometry, you can just can get lucky, you see. But even during the process of doing so, even during the process making efforts for your own well-being, it brings tremendous results and happiness in your life. The best time is between 3 and 6. I mentioned that a while back. The best time is between 3 and 6, basically. When you can make time for other things, then you can make time for your own self, and you can become charge of your own happiness and your own mind. The reason between 3 and 6 is the veil is lifted, and now you have the transparency that yogish, that Ishvara or Paramatma or the ultimate, there is no veil now between you and the ultimate, you see. And this is a sensitive time. The second reason is you have not gathered or accumulated data through your five senses as much. This is early morning. You could do it at 5, but before 6, you see, as long as you can tolerate. Meditation would give you the best results every day if you do that. Make time early morning between 3 and 6. Sit in a super silent corner. Perform meditation. Look at the blank wall. Gently pay attention to your breathing. As it is life, you are breathing in, and as it is life, you are breathing out. You see, every inch, every cell, every molecule, every atom in your body is at rest. You are not bending over. You are not leaning forward. You are attentive as humanly can. Your back spine is erect as humanly comfortable. You see, and you are looking at the straight wall, which is blank. Nothing is written here. So your attention wouldn't hooked. Nothing is on the wall. It's blank. It's empty. Make sure of that. It doesn't matter what color of the wall it is. Just make sure it's blank and it's empty, and you're looking at the wall. That's all you gotta do for some time, and watch the clarity it would bring in your life. Small things, you see, you always start from small things. That's natural. When you go in accord with the nature, I have mentioned that before to you. When you go in the accord with the nature, you get happiness all the time. You see, nature nature helps you and does nature helps you and does everything in its power to push you further evolve. You see, it takes your side. It loves it when you try to go in accord with it, because now there is no friction. Now nature does not have to put extraordinary efforts. You see, you are happy with an obedient student. You know why? Because you do not put any extraordinary efforts to get the results from the student. Are you following me? It's just like that. Imagine just like that. You you are always happy with the obedient student. the student who listens to you, the student who pays attention, the students who makes time to understand what you are trying to teach the student. Hence the very perception of the student basically is very, hence the perception, the student is very accommodating, and the perception of this very student is very, very high. Hence the student is receptive, you see, because student has more patience. And when the perception, the receptivity, that's the word I'm looking for in English, when the receptivity in the student is really high, because the student is making time and putting efforts to understand the lesson, then a student literally absorbs the knowledge or the wisdom you are trying to give it to this student like a sponge, if you understand what I'm saying. It basically absorbs it like a sponge. You see, you take a dry sponge, you put it in some liquid. It doesn't have to be water all the time. You can put it in some liquid. When you take a dry sponge, you put it on a liquid, it absorbs the liquid at its fullest, just like that. So the teacher, obviously, with such a student, is he going to be happy or unhappy? You tell me. It's a very simple question. The teacher with an obedient student who put efforts to understand teacher, the teacher is going to be very happy. Just look at nature as it is your teacher and you are the student, and when you go in accord with it, it is going to be extremely joyful and happy with you. When it is going to be extremely joyful and happy with you, then it helps you in numerous ways. You see, give up the ways of selfishness along doing the physical spiritual practice, which is meditation. You see, physical part, that you are maintaining a posture. You see, if you understand, physical part is just that you are maintaining a posture. Spiritual part is everything. You see, you are maintaining a posture, you are maintaining a posture, you are trying to align it with the cosmic geometry. You see, that's the physical part of it is. Rest is spiritual. This is basically, in bigger scheme of things, in all truth, is basically a spiritual practice. You see, along doing silent the mind, along doing that, you also try to get rid of old ways. You also you quit unhealthy habits that you have learned, such as thinking. Do you know thinking is a nasty habit? It's also abstract. It's not in nature. There is no thinking in nature. You see, remember we talked about that, when you make nature happy. So think only when it is necessary. When you are by yourself, don't talk with yourself. It's very simple. You see, when you are by yourself, do not talk with yourself. And if you are so compelled, if you are so pulled, just like the rubber band, remember the rubber band I use the rubber band to make you understand the tension. Just like the rubber band is very compelling. The tension in the rubber band is very compelling. You are pulling a super thick rubber band between two of your fingers and you are pulling it. Now, when you are pulling it, you are feeling the tension. That's how the mind compels you to bring your awareness and focus voluntarily to the thought. While you are even by yourself, you are talking to yourself. Nobody is listening, isn't it? Just you. You are the one who is listening, and you are the one who is talking. So you are talking to yourself. And if you are feeling so compelled to talk to you, then why do not you talk friendly to yourself? Why don't you tell yourself good things about yourself? Why don't you tell yourself the things that bring hope in you? Why don't you do all that instead of thinking that I may say something foolish and what others are going to think of me? No matter what you do, even if you are the most immaculate person on the face of this planet, hypothetically, even if you have the intelligence of Albert Einstein, I can guarantee you there is somebody around you who would find a reason to blame you for the things they have done or to blame you in general. You see, you know why? Because humans, unfortunately, are going in circle in the narrow band. Humans, I'm not saying everybody is like that, but a fair amount of humans are stuck in a narrow band. They are going in circles in the narrow band. You see, they are going in the circles in the narrow band and they think they are getting somewhere, you see, but they, in the bigger scheme of things, they are not. So quit the nasty habits such as overthinking. And if you are so compelled, just like the rubber band I mentioned, if you are so compelled, maybe you can talk friendly to yourself. You see, learn to talk friendly to yourself. Do not concern yourself. This is another one. Watch me. Do not concern do not concern yourself with other people's ideas. Do not concern yourself with other people's opinions. Do not concern yourself with what other people may or may not think about you. Do not make assumptions that other people always thinking about you. It's not about you. It's not always about you. You see, people just are very insecure. They think all the time other people's are gossiping about them as they gossip within them about themselves. You see, the way you perceive yourself, the way you perceive the entire universe. My mentor Don Miguel Ruiz said that, and I couldn't agree more because I see truth in it. The way you perceive yourself, the way you perceive the entire universe, because in order to perceive anything you have to perceive yourself first. It's not possible by nature or by any rules of nature that you can perceive something first before you perceive yourself. It's not possible by the rule of the nature. I hope you understand. I'm repeating. So once you realize that, then you become super, you see, then you become super interested to know yourself, then you become super interested to know how you function, then you become super interested to read the user manual of your own self, then you make time. So quit the old nasty habits such as overthinking, you see, such as concerning yourself with other people's opinion, their concepts, their ideas, if they are thinking you are fool, if they are thinking you are stupid. If you concern yourself with other people so much, then forget about happiness. You see, as a matter of fact, other people sometimes can see that mind you wrap around you, some of them, and they can use it against you because it's your weakness. You concern yourself. They can literally just say something nasty like casting a spell on you, and now you become under the spell because you think that it is true what others are telling you. The only truth that you must, I'm not even saying should, I'm saying must, like an intensifier, you see, like an intensifier. The only truth that you must concern with yourself is the truth you are perceiving right now. You see, that's the only truth for you. The rest is the point of view, which is not important. Rest is a story, which is not important. The only truth which is true for you is what you are perceiving right now. Is that a fact or it's not a fact? You tell me. It's time for a private meditation session, but not just yet. We have a little bit of time. You heard the bell though, and you know what it means by now. Let's perform some meditation, Let's do that. Ponder also, focus and ponder. You see, rewatch this video, rewatch this message from Brahman. See if it makes any sense for you. If it does, if you have any confusions, if you misunderstood something, You can always you can always write me too. Let's do some meditation, you see. Let's do some practical. A lot of conversations, a lot of retreats, a lot of exchange of dialogues, a lot of messages, a lot of addressing other human beings has been done in the past, a lot of it. In other words, what I am saying basically, a lot of talking is being done in the past, but the result is either very less or the result remains zero. The result either is very less or remains zero. We don't want that, you see. We want to see some result. And the result can only be achieved when you do practical meditation. Let's do some meditation right now. Oh.